Sometimes someone backs you into a corner so badly that instead of getting mad, you just take a deep breath and start plotting. Welcome to QuReX Stories, where we bring you the most unbelievable, mind-blowing encounters from Quora, Reddit, and X. Today's menu features pure, cold-blooded, and highly professional revenge. Sit back and relax, because these are those rare moments where absolute justice is served. Homeowners Association manager who let a tiny bit of power go straight to his head. The title reads, "You unfairly fined me $5,000, so I made you lose your house." Let me set the scene. 2 years ago, my wife and I moved into this beautiful, quiet neighborhood. Everything was a dream until we met Richard, the HOA president. Richard was an absolute dictator. If your grass was an inch too tall, you'd find a ticket on your door, left your trash can out until 9 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. Fined. We tried to avoid him for months, but one day he had my car towed simply because my tire was 2 inches over the line of my own driveway. Between the towing fees and the absurd rule violation penalties he tacked on, he handed me a bill for exactly $5,000. When I protested, he literally laughed in my face and said, "Rules are rules. If you don't pay, I'll put a lien on your house." In that exact moment, I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight him. I was going to beat him at his own game. I'm a financial analyst. 90% of my job is finding discrepancies in numbers. When I read the HOA bylaws, I saw that every resident had the right to audit the association's financial records. I submitted a formal request to the board for all invoices and bank statements from the last 5 years. Richard handed over the documents, looking incredibly smug, assuming nobody would actually read thousands of pages of boring Excel spreadsheets. But I did. For 3 weeks, I spent every night digging through those numbers. And bingo! I noticed that thousands of dollars were being paid every single month to a company called Greenleaf Landscaping for neighborhood maintenance. I looked up the company's tax ID in the state registry. Guess who was the founder and sole owner? Richard's wife. Tens of thousands of dollars collected from our fines and HOA fees were going straight into their pockets. No actual landscaping was ever done. The easy route would have been telling the neighborhood and starting a small riot. But I didn't take the easy route. I carefully packaged all the files and sent them directly to the state tax department and the Fraud Investigation Bureau. 2 months later, 2 black police cruisers rolled into our neighborhood. They walked Richard out of his house in handcuffs. He hadn't just defrauded the HOA, he had committed massive tax evasion. The IRS hit them with penalties so massive that, combined with their legal fees, they went completely bankrupt. He had to foreclose on the very house he loved making rules for. As for my $5,000 fine, it was immediately waived by the new board. If you enjoyed that taste of justice, get ready for one of the biggest nightmares of corporate life: the toxic manager who steals your hard work. You stole my idea and claimed it as your own, so I ended your career on a live stream. I was working as a developer at a major software company. For months, I'd been working on a new algorithm that would cut the company's data processing time in half. When I finished the project, I presented it to our newly appointed department manager, Greg. He barely glanced at it, said, "This is useless, it's not worth pursuing," and closed my file. I was crushed, but I didn't argue. 2 weeks later, we were in the annual review meeting, attended by all the top executives and the CEO. Greg walked onto the stage and began presenting his original revolutionary project that would save the company. On the massive screen behind him, he was showing my code and my designs under his own name. He had trashed my project to my face, made minor tweaks, and was now presenting it to the CEO to secure his own promotion. But Greg forgot one crucial detail. I wrote the code. Greg launched the system to do a live demo. It was running beautifully. The room was just starting to applaud when a command prompt suddenly popped up and froze the entire system. In giant letters across the screen, it read, "This project was developed by my name. Unauthorized use detected. Enter the creator's password to continue." The room went dead silent. The CEO frowned and looked at Greg. "What's the meaning of this, Greg? enter the password, and continue. Greg started sweating bullets. He was frantically mashing random keys, stuttering. I think there's a minor bug in the system. I slowly stood up from the back row. All eyes turned to me. I walked up to the stage, gently nudged Greg aside, and typed in the 12-character security key that only I knew. The system instantly unlocked. I turned to the CEO with a polite smile and said, "I left a small security lock on the demo version I gave Greg to test. I can take over the actual presentation from here." I will never forget the look of sheer horror on Greg's face. I saw him packing his belongings into a cardboard box that very afternoon. As for his position, it was offered to me a week later, and now we arrive at our final story of the day. We all know people who expect things for free, but this person truly crossed the line. I'm a professional wedding photographer. One day, a bride-to-be, who introduced herself as a local social media influencer, contacted me. She wanted my full-day premium package for her wedding. When I gave her my pricing, she literally laughed at me. "I'm not paying you," she said. "I have 20,000 followers. I'll give you plenty of exposure. You should be honored to shoot my wedding." I politely declined and explained that I only work for contracted rates. That is when she lost her mind. She started sending me threatening messages, saying she would ruin my business and tell everyone in local Facebook groups that I was a scammer. Sure enough, 2 days later, my business page was flooded with fake one-star reviews from her and her friends. They were full of lies, like "ruin my wedding" and "never hire this person." Someone who wasn't even my client was actively destroying my reputation. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I didn't reply to a single message. Instead, I took screenshots of every threat she sent. I compiled the audio messages where she explicitly said, "I won't pay you, and if you don't do it for free, I'll destroy you." Then I did some digging and found the social media profiles of her fiancé, the groom's parents, and the bride's entire bridal party. I created a beautiful, elegant digital photo album link. On the cover, I wrote a pre-wedding surprise. I sent this link directly to the groom, his family, and her best friends. When they opened the link, they didn't see wedding photos. They saw crystal clear evidence of their future bride blackmailing, threatening, and trying to extort a small business owner over a free service. Just a few hours later, the bride's Instagram account was completely deactivated. Every single fake one-star review vanished from my page. I later found out through mutual connections that after seeing the blackmail evidence, the groom's family almost cancelled the wedding, and the bride was caught in the middle of a massive family meltdown. She never dared to leave another review on my page again. If you loved seeing justice served in these stories, then you absolutely need to hear the insane story of the guy who accidentally buried his boss's car at a construction site. Click the video on your screen right now for the most epic chaos. I'll see you there on QuReX Stories.